What if I told you the dreams you hold closest, the ones that feel like whispers from a future you barely dare believe in, are not just fleeting thoughts, but blueprints? Blueprints you actually have the power, maybe even the inherent wiring, to bring into, well, tangible reality. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that has, captivated seekers and thinkers for generations, a whole idea of manifestation. It's a concept that feels, mystical to some, really practical to others, and now increasingly it's being explored through the lens of science too.
It really is.
So our mission in this deep dive is to try and unravel what manifestation truly means. We'll draw on different perspectives, different experiences. We want to uncover not just the popular ideas, but the practical steps and maybe some surprising insights, perhaps even from inside your own head, on how to turn desires into reality.
Yeah, and manifestation, really at its heart, it's about consciously bringing something tangible into your life. It's often described as using attraction and belief to make what you want to feel and experience a reality. So you're using your thoughts, your actions, beliefs, emotions, all of it.
Okay.
It's a concept that's been around in various forms, across cultures and philosophies for centuries, often talked about in spiritual or personal development circles.
And it's definitely hit the mainstream now, hasn't it? I mean, you hear about it everywhere. Folks like Oprah, Deepak Chopra, writers like Gabrielle Bernstein, Iyanla Vanzant, they all talk about it.
Definitely.
And that whole idea of the laws of attraction, especially after The Secret became so huge, that really pushed it into everyday conversation for millions.
Absolutely. But I think it's really important to understand right up front that while attraction and belief are involved, this isn't just passive wishful thinking.
Right. Not just sitting back and hoping.
Exactly. It's not hoping things will magically appear. It fundamentally requires, proactive engagement. It's not a magic wand. Things don't necessarily happen overnight. Many who really dive deep into this describe it as co-creating.
Co-creating. Okay, what exactly does that mean here in this context?
Well, it suggests a collaboration. Now, depending on your viewpoint, that could mean a collaboration between you and, say, the universe.
Okay.
Or perhaps it's more of an internal collaboration aligning different powerful parts of yourself, like your conscious mind and your subconscious patterns.
Oh, okay.
It's an active process, definitely not just a passive waiting game.
All right, so if it's active, this co-creation thing, where do we even start? What's the absolute, foundational step to begin building that blueprint you mentioned?
The foundation, the non-negotiable first step across pretty much all approaches, is crystal clear clarity. You have to know with absolute precision what it is you truly want.
Fuzzy goals lead to scattered energy.
Exactly. If your vision is fuzzy, your energy, your focus, your actions, they'll all just be scattered all over the place.
That makes total sense, like trying to drive somewhere new without putting the address in the GPS. You might wander, but you probably won't get there efficiently.
Precisely. Specificity is just paramount. It's not enough to say, oh, I want to meet my soulmate. That's way too vague.
Right.
What are their core qualities? Their characteristics? What about their values? What kind of life do you actually want to build with them?
Deeper questions.
Or, if it's a financial goal, just saying, I want more money isn't specific enough. How much? By when? And ideally, how might that even come about? Specifying something like, I intend to earn, say, $50,000 in the next 6 months, specifically through growing my freelance business, now that gives you a much clearer target.
So clarity isn't just about having a preference. It's really essential because it creates a defined path. It directs your focus, your intention, in a really powerful way.
Exactly right. It's like tuning into a very specific radio frequency. You're telling yourself and, potentially the universe exactly what to look for and move towards. Without that clear signal, everything is just static.
Okay. Got it. So once you have that laser focus, you know exactly what you want. What's next? How do you take that clear desire and, how do you ask for it? Or put it out there effectively?
Right. This is where various techniques come into play. Methods for taking that clarified intention and really solidifying it, expressing it. You could see it as directing it outward maybe, or just embedding it deeply within yourself.
I'm guessing things like prayer or meditation fit in here somewhere.
Absolutely. Those are classic, effective methods for centering your intention. And visualization is incredibly powerful.
More than just daydreaming.
Oh, yeah. It's not just seeing the outcome. It's creating a rich, multisensory mental rehearsal of having already achieved it.
Okay.
Speaking your intentions out loud can also give them voice and energy. And a lot of people find tangible methods really helpful, like creating a vision board.
Yes. Vision boards. I've seen those.
They're popular because they provide that constant visual reminder, keeping your desires right there, top of mind, or maybe assembling a future box with symbolic items.
Interesting.
And then there's the simple power of writing it down. You might have heard of structured methods like the 369 method,
Vaguely.
where you write your intention a certain number of times during the day. But honestly, it can be as simple as free writing about your desire, or maybe writing a letter as if it's already happened. The act of writing itself helps clarify and embed the intention.
So you're putting the intention out there, keeping it front and center, using these different methods. And underneath all this is belief, right? That sense of trusting the process.
Fundamentally, yes. Faith in the outcome, or at least a willingness to trust the process and your own ability to engage with it. That's described as a really powerful motivator, a guiding force.
Makes sense.
If you're constantly doubting or expecting failure, it just becomes incredibly difficult to move forward effectively. Believing, or at least actively cultivating that belief, is a key ingredient.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got clarity, we've put the intention out there with various techniques, we're working on belief. But it feels like there's maybe a missing piece if we only focus on thoughts and words. What about how we actually feel?
You've hit on something absolutely vital there. This brings us to the really profound role of feeling and emotion. Those elevated emotions like joy, gratitude, love, excitement, they aren't just pleasant states to be in. They're often described as energetic magnets.
Magnets, how so?
Well, they raise your vibration, so to speak. They align your personal energy with the energy of what you desire, making you more receptive, more open to attracting opportunities that match.
Okay, like tuning your internal radio to the right station, basically.
That's a great way to put it, exactly. And conversely, those low vibrational states, the ones fueled by fear, doubt, anxiety, or a sense of lack, they create immense resistance. They just block that flow.
So the goal isn't just to think about your goal, it's to embody the feeling of already having achieved it. When you visualize, don't just see it, feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction, the abundance.
Really immerse yourself.
Yes, engage all your senses in that future reality. What does it smell like, sound like, even taste like?
So it's a full immersion into the emotional reality of it all.
Precisely. And here's something interesting. Focusing on simply feeling good for its own sake, like cultivating joy and gratitude in your everyday life, that actually helps build a baseline of this elevated state.
So it's not just a trick to get something.
Not at all. The feeling itself is valuable, and it makes the whole manifestation process more effective, more natural. This connects to concepts like heart-brain coherence. Aligning your thoughts and emotions creates a clearer, more powerful, coherent signal.
How do you do that?
Well, practices like gratitude journaling, meditation, conscious breath work, these are really powerful tools for cultivating that coherent state.
Okay, that makes sense. When you feel good, you're naturally more open, more optimistic anyway. But this brings up a question I hear a lot. If you're doing all this visualizing, feeling the emotion, is that enough? Or do you actually have to, get up and do things?
Yeah. This is a point of discussion, even some, let's say, healthy debate within the manifestation community.
Oh, really?
Yeah, while a few very specific interpretations of the law of attraction might argue that intense focus and belief alone are sufficient.
Right.
And that taking action could even show a lack of faith in the universe to deliver. The overwhelming perspective in most successful approaches is that results absolutely require action. Manifesting is very much a collaboration.
We're back to that co-creation idea again.
Exactly. You provide the intention, the clarity, the feeling, and then life, or the universe, or your own subconscious responds by presenting opportunities or aligning circumstances. But you have to meet that with action.
You gotta do your part.
You got to do your part. You have to set aside time to think about and build actionable steps into your routine. If you're manifesting a new career, you still need to, update your resume, network, practice for interviews, apply for jobs.
The practical stuff.
The practical stuff. Clarity combined with action and staying receptive and aware of those opportunities that pop up, that's widely seen as the fastest, most effective way to manifest. It's not blind hustle, though. It's inspired action. Action that feels aligned with your goal.
Okay, so it's definitely not just sitting on the couch wishing. It's aligning your internal state with external effort. But what about the stuff that gets in the way? Because even with clarity and action, people still run into roadblocks.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the most significant barriers is overcoming those inner blocks. This includes things like impatience, fear fear of the unknown, fear of failure, pervasive negative self-talk, and maybe most powerfully, those deep-seated limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs. Yeah, you mean like thinking I'm not smart enough or I don't deserve success, that kind of thing.
Precisely those. They're like subconscious programs, often formed way back, maybe in childhood. Things like, I'm not worthy, money is inherently bad, or relationships are always hard.
Oof, yeah.
So if you consciously try to manifest, say, a loving relationship or financial abundance, but these beliefs are running like a background tape, playing constantly, they create immense resistance.
So they sabotage your efforts.
Unconsciously, yes. You end up acting out of that limiting belief system, undermining your conscious desires. It's like your deep-seated unconscious belief is fighting against what you consciously say you want.
Wow. That sounds tough to overcome.
It can be, but here's the empowering part. These beliefs are not facts. They are learned patterns, and they can be changed.
Okay, how?
Well, strategies involve first identifying them, sometimes through journaling or just paying close attention to your recurring negative thoughts. Then you challenge them actively.
Challenge them.
Yeah. You can write down the belief and then immediately write down logical reasons why it isn't actually true for you now, or examples from your life where it's been proven false. Using affirmations, consistently repeating empowering statements like, I am capable and deserving of achieving my dreams, helps to literally rewire your mindset over time. You're replacing the old tape with a new one.
So you're kind of like a conscious editor of your own internal operating system.
That's a great way to put it. You have immense agency here. You have the power to change your mind about these things. And it's also important to acknowledge, you won't feel perfectly positive and fabulous 100% of the time. That's just not realistic.
Right. Bad days happen.
Exactly. Dealing with negative feelings is part of it. Sometimes just acknowledging the feeling without judgment, taking a break, maybe even stepping away from the manifestation techniques for a bit if you feel discouraged. That can help shift your state later. The key is recognizing resistance and finding ways to release it, not just trying to push it down or ignore it.
This is where it gets really interesting for me, actually. Moving beyond the philosophical or, purely energetic side of things, there's this fascinating perspective emerging now, looking at manifestation through the lens of neuroscience. How does our physical brain actually play a role in all this?
Yeah, this is where the science really starts to intersect in compelling ways. Neuroscience explores the interplay between our conscious brain networks, like the executive control network we use for planning and decisions, and our unconscious networks, like something called the salience network.
The salience network, what does that do?
Think of it as your brain's internal radar, or maybe like a bloodhound. Its job is to constantly scan your environment, both outside and inside, for what is most relevant or, salient to you. Once you set a clear intention and really embed it deeply, maybe through visualization or repetition, you're essentially training your salience network to notice things aligned with that intention.
Okay, so it's like when you're thinking about buying a specific type of car, and suddenly you start seeing that car everywhere on the road.
Yeah, exactly that. Or how, when you're in a crowded, noisy room, you immediately hear your name called out. Your name, your identity, is incredibly salient to you, so your brain is highly attuned to it.
Right.
So when your desired outcome becomes deeply embedded in your unconscious through focused intention and feeling, your salience network gets primed. It starts to spot opportunities, resources, or information related to that goal that you might have otherwise completely overlooked.
And then the conscious brain steps in.
Right. The conscious executive control network is then what helps you act on those identified opportunities.
That's actually incredible. So your brain isn't just passively observing. It actively helps you perceive the path forward once it really knows what the target is.
Precisely. But for this to work effectively, your internal state really matters. Being present, not constantly distracted, is crucial because these networks need focus. And your nervous system plays a massive role here. Well, when you're in a state of chronic stress or fear, that's the sympathetic nervous system engaged, the fight or flight response, it actually inhibits the function of that executive control area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it makes clear thinking, planning, spotting subtle opportunities incredibly difficult. Your whole world basically shrinks down to survival mode.
You get stuck in just reacting.
Exactly. But the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, which is activated by states of calm, safety, and connection, does the opposite. It helps regulate stress and opens up access to higher brain functions, including that executive planning and the receptivity needed to act on what the salience network is noticing.
So being calm is key.
A calm, relaxed, and present state is really vital to maximize your brain's natural capacity for focus and opportunity recognition.
So practices like meditation or breath work, they aren't just about feeling good in the moment. They're actually physically shifting your brain state to one that's more conducive to manifestation.
Exactly right. They help you consciously shift into that parasympathetic state. And embedding those intentions deeply, neuroscience shows that repetition is key. Repeating visualizations, affirmations, aligned actions that strengthens the necessary neural pathways. You know the classic phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It applies directly here. You're literally building the neurological architecture for your desired reality. But the very first step from this neuroscience perspective is often deep self-analysis.
Meaning?
Getting really clear on what you truly want versus maybe what you've been conditioned by society or family to think you should want, and then fully owning your agency, your power to change your mind, your focus, and your state.
So self-awareness is really the starting point again.
Yes, and here's a really powerful connection that science is exploring now, the link between altruism, being of service to others, and engaging that positive, calm, parasympathetic state.
Being helpful makes you feel good, basically.
It does, biologically. Cultivating compassion and focusing on how your actions can benefit others can be an incredibly powerful way to shift your internal state, activate those positive neural networks, and perhaps unlock your greatest power for changing your life and manifesting not just personal gain, but also positive impact. There's a perspective shared by some experts that focusing purely on external markers of success, like just money or power, didn't actually lead to lasting fulfillment for them. They contrast that with the deeper happiness and the really powerful state that comes from genuine service.
Wow, that adds a whole different dimension. It connects your personal aspirations to a broader sense of contribution and well-being, and potentially makes the whole manifestation process more potent because it's rooted in a positive physiological and mental state that's linked to connection.
Exactly. It takes your internal alignment not just to your individual goals, but also to your relationship with the world around you. It's quite profound when you think about it.
So looking at all these different facets, from the spiritual concepts to the practical steps in the emerging neuroscience, it seems really clear that manifestation isn't some single rigid formula.
Oh, absolutely not. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all process. Different techniques, different approaches will resonate more strongly with different people, and that's completely okay. It's really about finding what feels authentic and effective for you.
Right.
And it's important to have realistic expectations, too. Results might vary, and the path isn't always linear or predictable. Things don't always show up exactly when or how you expect.
And we should probably mention that there is skepticism out there. There are valid questions raised, like the idea that the law of attraction isn't a scientific law in the same way physics defines gravity, for instance, or that some perceived successes might be explained by psychological effects like the placebo effect or confirmation bias, or just finding patterns and meaning in random data, what's sometimes called apophenia.
Right. That perspective certainly exists, and I think it's part of the larger conversation. It's valuable context to consider as we try to understand the whole picture without necessarily dismissing the genuine, often powerful personal experiences that so many people share.
Yeah.
Ultimately, whether you view it through a spiritual lens, a psychological one, or a neurological one, so much of the practical outcome seems to really tie back to that internal alignment, changing your mindset, your emotional state, your core beliefs to match what you truly desire.
So it sounds less like waving a magic wand and more like, mastery of self. Mastering your focus, your emotions, your beliefs, and then consciously directing your energy and your actions.
Precisely. That's a great way to frame it. It's an ongoing process of self-discovery, self-mastery, and continually aligning your inner world with your outer aspirations.
Okay, so for you listening, let's try and bring this all together. We've explored this core idea of manifestation consciously co-creating your reality. We've talked about the absolute necessity of knowing exactly what you want, that clarity piece. Putting that intention out there, using various methods, cultivating the powerful feeling and emotion of having already achieved it, taking that inspired action that aligns with your goal.
Don't forget the action.
Definitely not. And courageously addressing those limiting beliefs and internal resistance that can pop up. And finally, understanding how your own brain and nervous system are actually wired to help you when you're in that calm, centered, intentional state, and perhaps even finding a profound power in being of service to others.
It's really a dynamic blend, isn't it? Mindset, emotion, belief, and action, all working together.
So given the potential power that seems to be unlocked, by aligning our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions, and knowing how our own brains are designed to seek and respond to clarity and intention, here's a thought to leave you with. What simple, intentional step could you take today, right now, to begin moving towards something you truly desire? Think about it. Maybe it's just carving out 5 minutes to get crystal clear on one specific thing. Maybe it's writing that thing down or visualizing it with real feeling. Or maybe it's taking that one small, brave action step you've been putting off. The journey of turning a dream into reality, it really starts with that single conscious choice.